Welcome to Can TV Hotline. Let's talk etiquette. It's so good to be back here with you again. I am so excited about the subjects we're going to cover today. To me, personally, it's all about how you behave. 99.9% of all you do is based on your behavior. And if you don't have a sense of what is appropriate behavior, you are handicapped. And that's so sad because so many of us are handicapped. You have to accept the fact that behavior is a learned discipline. And if you're not taught the rules of behavior for this society, you're going to be handicapped and crippled for the remainder of your life unless you begin to learn the rules. They are rules for everything we do. And so you need to have your children study etiquette and learn those rules because they are so important and so valuable to where your child is going in the future. Now, last week we talked about parenting, this thing called etiquette-centered parenting. Now, this week we're going to talk about etiquette-centered mentoring. So there's basically two areas that we want to cover for these sessions because they're so critical to where we're going in the world and what we're going to be able to accomplish in the world this next 2, 3, 4 generations. Because what you do now is going to have an impact 2, 3, 4 generations into the future. So this is really serious business. Now I want you to call me so that we can have a discussion about this subject. You can reach us. There's the number right there at the bottom, area code 312-738-1060. Call me. Share your thoughts on this thing called etiquette-centered mentoring. Because that's what's going on in this world. We need to step up and get serious about these issues. Regrettably, a lady that I did not know, but a good friend of mine was quite acquainted with her, sadly lost her life and her son's life. They both were shot to death out in the south suburbs about a week or so ago. And I'm sure most of you all have heard about that story. What a tragedy. When I heard it, it was just so heart-wrenching to hear that story about that mother losing her life, and so did her son. Now somebody let that child who shot them down. Somebody allowed that child to grow up and put a gun in his hands and take their lives. Somebody dropped that ball. Somebody know who that person is. Somebody know who he is or she is. And this is why etiquette is so important. This is why this subject, etiquette-centered mentoring, is so important. Because if that young man had a mentor in his life, I guarantee you he would never have done something like that. It just would not have happened. Okay? So this is why our show is so focused on this thing called etiquette. Because if you add that to your mentoring, you're going to have a winning combination to make this young person, help this young person become an awesome human being. And that's what it's really all about. At the end of the day, that's what it's all about. And it's up to us elders, us adults, to reach back and do something to save those young people's lives. And you just have to give up a few things. It's not a lot you have to give up. A few games of sports, going to the boats and gambling or whatever, partying and having a good time. You have to give up a few things. But it's a small sacrifice for the return you're going to see in that young person's life. That's the reward. That's the benefit. You're going to give up a little fun and games that you want to have. Oh, I'm going to go see the football game. I got to go check. What's important is to stop the next child from growing up, putting a gun in his hand, and killing somebody you know. That's what's important. Not the game on TV. It's these young people that you need to step up and help them become better citizens. So this thing called etiquette-centered mentoring. I'm going to start with one of our first overheads, just to give you an idea of how this subject works. Okay? Etiquette-centered mentoring is teaching your mentees the value of having good manners and morals. That's so essential. If you're gonna mentor, what are you teaching your mentee if you're not teaching them how to behave and how to have good manners and good morals and how to understand their humanity is wrapped up in their morals, being a good character. These are essential qualities you want your mentees to have. And why not? Why not? So this is what is needed to be taught to your mentees. It needs to be taught in every school in the country, at every grade level. That's where it needs to be taught, but it's not going to be taught there. That's unfortunate, extremely unfortunate, because we got prisons full of public school students who are now locked up. And I guarantee you, the young man that pulled the trigger and killed those two people last week went to public school. I guarantee you that. He didn't go to private school. He went to public school. Okay? So, they're not going to teach it. And you're not going to demand that they teach it. So, you're going to have to do the work. You're going to have to reach back. It could be your cousin, your nephew, your grandson. It doesn't matter. They're all in jeopardy. And you have to teach them how to behave in this society. Get an etiquette book. That's all you have to do. You can go online and just Google etiquette book, and you can get one for $4 or $5, $6. Read it. Read it. And then you'll learn something about how to teach them to have good manners. And they're very simple things. Respect your elders. That's a simple thing. Say yes, sir, no, sir. Yes, ma'am, and no, ma'am. Thank you very much. It's not hard. When they begin to think like that, they become civilized. See? They become civilized. That's civilized behavior. Showing respect for your elders. And when you become a young man, a young woman, and you go into the place of employment, you show respect for your superiors on the job. You do that. You're not their equal, but they have to understand their role and their place in society. We all have a role and a place to play, see? So you want to keep that in mind when you're teaching your young people how to have good manners. Correct them when they say something that's inappropriate. Say, no, that's not the proper thing to say. And then say it for them and have them repeat it 3 or 4 times. So it's just that simple. Little things like that is going to make a world of difference in that young man or young woman's life. And you have the opportunity to play that part. And they would never forget you. They would never forget you and the impact you had on them. They'll be talking about you 50 years from now because of what role you played in their life. So these things called manners is crucial. Okay? It's going to make a world of difference in their life. It's going to enable them to go and do everything they want to do. Because they understand how to demonstrate that they have good manners. It becomes a way of thinking. They don't have to think about it no more. They just do it. And it's up to you as their parent, as their guardian, or as their mentee to make sure your child get this lesson. And it needs to be every day. Like you send your child to school every day. You don't send them to school and say, well, you don't have to study math, but maybe once a month. That's all you need to study is maybe once a month or every now and then. You need to study math every day. You need to study reading every day. Okay, you need to study etiquette every day. You need to demonstrate you understand how to conduct yourself in society. Okay? And see, if you can do that as a mentor, then you're going to have a winning formula for your mentees. And I'm just so proud to be able to say I have mentored, I wouldn't say hundreds, but dozens of young people. And being a role model is an important thing. So I'm mentoring often when I'm not their mentor. I'm setting an example how one should behave. And if you can do that, that's influencing them to behave in the way that you're behaving. But keep in mind, you're up against an awesome corporate system that is designed with the intentions of destroying our children. And I use a heavy word, destroying. The kinds of things that they are putting into their heads is destructive. The kind of ideas they are exposing them to is counterproductive. And so we have to recognize they're being mentored 24, 24, 24 by those things in their ears, by the TV that you have them sitting there watching. And so you have to counter that. And that's your role as a parent or as a mentor. We have a caller. Caller, you're on the air. Hello?
Yes. How you doing, Mr. Wright?
Yes, Steve.
How you been doing?
Oh, we were worried about you.
Well,
We were talking about you. I tried to find your number. I looked for it.
I really
said, well, I
been
got
ripping
to,
and running.
I'm hoping that Steve called today.
Oh, don't worry. You know, every time I get a chance.
That's
but
good.
Listen, just listening to you for a few,
Yes.
and it reminded me of something. And just as today, it's a word that people need to learn, and it's called redundant. Over and over and over
Yes.
and over. I was just talking to my youngest son today. He's 35 years old.
Okay.
And I was steady always, you know, with children and with adults. It doesn't make no difference who. You have to have, don't be dictative, but you got to know when you get your chance to put your jab in.
Yes.
You know, you just continuously. Sometimes they open their mouth and then that gives you the opportunity to get in.
Yes.
And there's a few things. One of the most important things that I teach too is respect. And there's nothing more important on God's green earth than family.
Absolutely.
That's something that we need to learn more of, to teach.
Yes.
And you said something that I also always say, like to my younger grandchildren, great-grandchildren, I want you to remember me 50 years from now when I'm gone.
Right.
That's for their parents to teach them. You remember what Daddy used to always say?
Right.
You got to remember those things.
You have to.
So it's not, what I'm trying to say is, don't make a comment and then let it fly. You
Right.
know, you don't do that. You just got to keep on banging and banging.
Yes.
Even when they do something good, you
Yes.
still keep on banging and banging.
Yes.
And when they do something wrong, they know when they do something wrong. Now, the ones that don't know what they know they're not doing no wrong, that means they're not listening. They don't care. They're going to do what they want to do.
Yes.
But one thing for sure, you got to keep on jabbing. You got to keep on doing this.
You and I both know, Steve, that they're being influenced by these outside entities that's influencing them.
Yes,
you know,
sir.
and we were fortunate as young people. We had very little influences outside of our family.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, our neighbors was an influence on it, and what we learned in the school was an influence. But most of the kids we went to school with came from pretty decent households.
You know, it's amazing.
We didn't see
People
the
that
kind of
been living
negative stuff we
next
see.
door to each other for 30 years, 20 years, 10 years. How can you live next door to somebody just for a year and don't know their names, know who they are? You know, just nodding your head.
We lost the art of community.
That don't mean anything.
We lost that art.
There's our village.
It serves such a great purpose. It serves such a great purpose. And
hey, what happened to your sidekick?
Well, unfortunately, she has another obligation, and she couldn't change that schedule, so...
Well, it don't make no difference, man.
Yeah,
one thing for sure, we know you know how to hold up the ship.
Right, well, you
and
know...
again,
absolutely.
I wish many more people continue to keep on looking and listening to you. Sooner or later, they're going to say, he told me that. I heard that. So
right.
Again, I really totally appreciate you. Take your time.
Yes.
Because you could have been doing anything else in the world.
Sure
But one
could.
thing for sure, you heard one caller call you, and that was
Well, I
me. I
appreciate your
heard you.
call, Steve. We were, like I said, we were a little concerned. Even my producer commented about Steve didn't call, and I said, I hope he's okay. And I
Well,
did make an
listen,
effort
I'm
to look
going
for your
to a
number.
little
But
later.
keep
I will
calling,
call.
okay?
Yeah, I will call.
I appreciate your comments.
I also went through a lot of little stuff, but yet still, I'm still here.
Great.
Okay,
Perfect.
listen, you have a
Thank you.
great day, a safe night, and
Yes.
let me get out there and hear your response.
Thank you, Steve.
All right.
Yes. Of course, Steve has been with us for 5 or 6 years, probably, at the least. And he's been very loyal, and we really appreciate that loyalty from him. And in fact, one of our shows several years ago, he sent us a pizza or some flowers or something. I can't remember exactly what it was, to show how much he appreciated our show and what we was trying to communicate to the community. So thank you again, Steve, and I look forward to your conversation next week. You always have something great to say. And so, back to this subject of mentoring. What I want to do now is to share a few other subjects that we would like to share with you. And this is coming from the Etiquette Foundation of Illinois. And please visit our website, efoi.org, and you will be pleasantly surprised with some of the things that you will find on that website. So don't hesitate to do that. Now, etiquette-centered mentoring is teaching your mentees the value of kindness and compassion. Yes, kindness and compassion. Why is compassion such an important subject? Well, because when you instill compassion, first through kindness, then you're giving your mentee a quality of their humanity that every human being need to have a grip on, an understanding of. That thing called compassion is just such an awesome state of mind. And you want to take every opportunity you can to reiterate that word to your mentees so they have a good sense of what it means. Give them examples of what it is to be compassionate. And when they become, because they will if you work at it, they will become quite compassionate about a lot of subjects. And this will avert them from being into anything or getting involved in anything that's antisocial. Okay? And this is what we need to work on as a society, as a people. Moving away from this antisocial behaviors that is created for our young people to get involved in and be intrigued with. And this is why they end up doing the kinds of things that is so destructive, not just to themselves, but to the society we live in. Okay? So this thing called compassion is a very, very important subject. And I could go on with that for a minute or two. But because we're running short on time, I want to move on just to cover some of the other subjects under mentoring, etiquette-centered mentoring. So I'm going to put this sheet up here, give you a sense of that. Okay? Etiquette-centered mentoring is teaching your mentees traditional values. And the reason this part of your teaching is so important is because we are a society that's made up of values. And those values have a history. And when they are repeated generation after generation after generation, then they become traditional because it's something we do on a regular basis. So our values are traditional values. In other words, how you treat a lady, that's a traditional value. It didn't start yesterday. It goes back hundreds and thousands of years. The respect we men have to have for women. It doesn't matter what age she is as a female or what stature she holds in society. We are to respect all women. Okay? That's a traditional value. And honoring them, that's part of our tradition. So there are many other examples of how you share tradition with your mentees. Explain to them, it's very simple. Yes, you're alive today, but that history goes back thousands of years, okay? Thousands of generations, that history, right up until this moment. And so what has happened in the past, yesterday, last week, last month, last year, 10 years ago, 100 years ago, came about as a result of it occurring, and that experience was internalized and passed on to their children. So my parents, like your parents, taught you their values. Okay? And so you share your values with your children. So those are the ones that are traditional, the ones that are not made up yesterday, or something coming out of Hollywood, that's designed to tickle your funny bone. Okay? Family, and Steve said it, family is the foundation of humanity. Just that simple. It's the foundation of humanity. And so within the family, it's your duty as a parent or as a mentee to pass on certain values that are enriching, that are worthy of repeating in the next generation. And so these traditional values are awful important. So please keep those in mind. Time is running out on me, so I'm going to move on real quickly. I want to just go over a few of the same subjects that I just pointed to on the overhead, and these are just smaller print, so you'll be able to see them. Hopefully, let me see what we have here. Oh, unfortunately, it's too small. You probably can't see it, so I'm going to just have to read it to you. Etiquette-centered mentoring. What does it really mean to mentor? And what does it mean? It means that you care. That's the first thing it means. It means that you care as a person, and that you're concerned, and that you're willing to invest your time and share your thoughts, your experiences, your values with someone else that's being nurtured by you, and that you can contribute so immensely to them becoming the kind of person that everyone would admire. Okay, so this is really what it means to mentor. Okay, next, etiquette-centered mentoring is a new frontier in the ability to care. I really believe that it's a new frontier. And even though mentors have been around for hundreds of years, probably, I'm sure, they may not have used the word mentor, but they have been around for years and years and years. But I think it's another dimension in our humanity that's there for us to take advantage of, for us to use. I have mentors. I can call my mentors going back 20, 30, 40, 50 years when I was a child, okay, that mentored me, that took time to share something with me. And it wasn't always someone that was in my life on a continuum that contributed to me, and I remember them today. Mr. Jones, what a great man. Had a big smile on his face and always had something nice to say to you. You can't forget Mr. Jones. And I was happy to see Mr. Jones because I know he had something good to tell me. He loved telling stories. He said, yeah, boy, when I was down in Mississippi, and he would go on with his stories. So he contributed to my life. And I remember some of the stories that he told me, and I was 7, 8, 9 years of age. So this is an awesome responsibility, but it's an awesome opportunity for you to mentor someone. Doesn't matter, someone. Just get involved. You don't ever have to use the word mentor in your relationship with them. Just show that you care about them, and that you want the best for them, and that you want to counsel, advise, whatever. Okay, the next one. Etiquette-centered mentoring is teaching your mentees the power of contriteness. That word, contriteness. Okay? It's a critical word for them to understand its definition, because this is how they solve problems. They reduce conflict. by simply saying something as simple as maybe, "Oh, I am awfully sorry. I didn't mean to bump into you. Please accept my apology." Rather than acting with an attitude and why don't you watch where you going and all of that, and that sets off a conflict or dispute, and it leads to something else, and then you have a fight or something else worse, right? Well, that's about all I'm going to have to be able to cover tonight, but I appreciate you listening. I thank you for tuning us in if you're watching, and stay tuned for next Wednesday. We have a great show lined up for you, and have a wonderful, wonderful night and a great week ahead. Thank you.